2004, when I was 13 years old, I was trapped in a bar, guarded, forced to entertain customers and to strip dance. NBI rescued me. After 10 years of my rescue, my perpetrators were convicted, but they are still at large today. At 11 years old, my fellow survivor, Joy, was asked to sit in front of the cameras, naked to be seen by many foreign online sex offenders who paid for her abuse. After 7 years of abuse and exploitation, Joy was rescued together with 13 other victims. It pains me to know that her community knew about the exploitation, even the barangay officials. But no one from the community reported. Thank you, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., for calling for a stronger response to OSAEC. And with your leadership, we, the PSN, are hopeful of seeing justice served, survivors restored, and victims rescued. We want protection for the victims, for safe spaces, for agencies to be trauma-informed. We need justice and convictions to be served. And I am excited to see our court give faster convictions to OSIC cases.
My fellow workers in government, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As I was listening to the young lady, and she is a lady, I could not help but shed a tear to have to relive the suffering that she went through, and to think how many other children are, even as we here sit in this fancy hotel room, eating our fancy food, continuing to suffer the same fate as she has. And accompanying those tears that I just shed was a deep sense of shame, because we have not done enough for the Philippines to now be considered the epicenter of, let us not shorten it into a clinical term, OSAEC. It is sexual abuse and exploitation of children. And I leave it to your imagination. And I would imagine in some cases your imagination cannot even begin to fathom what is done to these poor children, to our poor children. And so we must do more. We must do more. The Filipino culture, one of the most important part of the Filipino culture is family. We are known around the world for that. We are so well known for it that Filipinos are the number one caretakers of foreign children all around the world. I go and travel and meet important leaders all around the world. And they say, and I'm talking about kings and queens and presidents and prime ministers. And they say to me, I was raised by a Filipina. My second mother is a Filipina. And that's what we Filipinos are. We love our families. We adore our children. And for us to allow this to happen in our country brings to me an overwhelming sense of shame, because being in government, being in public service, we are not doing enough. We must do more. However, I am happy that we have now, together with the Interagency Council Against Trafficking and the Department of the Interior and Local Government, that we have had now this conference, and the IJM has organized this very important event. We are here today to confront one of the greatest challenges of our time. The challenges that we face in government are always the challenges that are brought to us by the future. And what exemplifies our future more, what symbolizes our future more than our children? And that is why this strikes at the very heart of our society. It undermines the foundations of what we are, of who we are as a people. In every community that is alive with the laughter and the chatter of children, there is a dark reality where 500,000 Filipinos, 1 in every 100 Filipinos, has been victimized. It is an appalling statistic. We cannot allow this to continue. We will not allow it to continue. This is a horrible scourge of online sexual abuse or exploitation of children, or OSAC, which remains widespread now in our country. It's not a distant problem. All the victims, just faceless and nameless children. Perhaps we do not know them. Perhaps we're not related to them. But they are all our children. They are Filipinos. We do not even have to go through the exercise of trying to imagine, oh, what would I feel if it happened to our children? Doesn't matter. Just look at the child. Think of any child. Any child. They live within our midst, and several may be the sons, daughters of those people we know. Their smiles, their brave smiles, innocent smiles, conceal the pain that is our nation's shame. As the sad reality is that many perpetrators are the victims' families or relatives, the very people that we expect to care for them. And as this is a battle that we must not lose, and we will not lose, this administration created the Presidential Office for Child Protection, or POCP, which is a critical step in our fight against this crisis. The POCP will serve as the epicenter of our efforts, bringing together resources and strategies to ensure that every child in our country is protected and supported. On the legislative side, such as anti-OSAIC and anti
or delaying searches is quarters na mga babae yan. And we have heard it a while ago from one of our resource persons na puro daw mga quarters na mga babae. And true enough. Next. And true enough. We find bedrooms of women surrounding the bedroom of Opole Kibuloy. Next slide, please. In these 3 areas that we searched, we observed that Kibuloy's room is the only man's room in these areas. I would like to ask KOJC to tour you on those facilities in the ACQ College of Ministry, in the Cathedral, in the first floor of the JMC building, in the dormitory of the pastorals, if there are other men living in that area. And show to you, the August senators and reporters, if there are really other men living in that area aside from Kibuloy,
So
in the midst of women.
What are you trying to imply?
I'm trying to imply, sir, that the warrant, especially this warrant in branch 106, for violation of section 5P of RA 7610, that reads, the charges, the warrant is subsisting on August 8, issued on August 8, and signed by Judge Noel Parel. Pasensya na kayo, sir. Affected ako, sir, sa mga ganitong klaseng warrant, sir.
Continue.
The charges
Continue.
the warrant was issued for violation of section 5B of RA 7610 that reads, those who commit an act of sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct with a child exploited in prostitution or subject to other sexual abuse. The law, sir. Next slide.